Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I have to apologize for the audio from last week. I had a Zoom meeting I had to get on, and I switched my microphone. And when I recorded my solo episode last week, I never switched it back, and I never realized it till after I went back to listen that the audio was terrible. So I apologize for that. I've got that fixed. I've got the good mic back connected here today, so it should definitely sound better. Sunday night, I am exhausted. It was a crazy weekend, and I always talk about these 2 day shows that take so much out of me. And I'm because we do the Thursday hobby chop, I really I hate waiting till Monday because you're getting 2 episodes so close together. So I'm pushing through tonight, and I'm going to get this episode out tonight to you guys. I can hear my voice. You can probably hear my voice is a little hoarse. I got home tonight, and my wife said, "Your voice is hoarse. Have you been yelling?" I said, "No, but I've probably talked to 2,000 people in the last 2 days. It's so much talking there. You think, I sit here and talk on here, and I had a career as a teacher that I was doing a lot of talking, but it's just very different to be constantly talking for that many hours in a day." And on these Sundays episodes, so tonight it's just going to be a little different. I'm going to recap Mohegan Sun, but I want to save some of it because Tyler and Zip were there on Saturday, and there was a lot of different things we bounced around and talked about. So we're going to talk about a few things related to the show, recapping a bit of the show on Thursday. So I'm more of a POV from me tonight on this, and then you'll get a little bit more, but it's certainly not going to be the whole episode tonight or Thursday, just a little bit from both. I do have a great topic to talk about today, so let's just jump into it. Heading into the weekend, we knew there was a storm brewing, right? So although back to Monday, they had snow coming in and snowing all day on Saturday and into Sunday morning, which I thought was going to mean disaster for the show and attendance, even though it's more of a destination show, right? It's people will come to the casino and there's other things going on. And trust me, I know firsthand that there's not a lot that will keep people from the casino, and if it is, they'll get there early enough that it can't keep them away, right? They'll ride it out in the casino. But Friday, the weather stated that it was going to start snowing later in the afternoon on Saturday and not really get bad until Saturday evening and into Sunday morning. So the show was a go, right? We're all excited. You build up, you get ready for these bigger shows like this. So excited to see that it's going off. And Saturday's show, because of the way this weather was coming in, Saturday's show was absolutely insane, right? And I think, like a lot of people said, we don't know what Sunday is going to look like. So let's just get there Saturday when we know we can. And even the 9 a.m. early bird. Now, I've been there for every Mohegan Sun show. I think I missed one along the way over the last few years. And I always know the slowest part is the 9 to 10, right? The early bird. There's people in there, but it's a big room. So it would take a lot of people to feel like there's a lot of people in there between 9 and 10. And about 10 of 10, I decided I was going to run out and grab a coffee before 10 o'clock came in. And when I got out the door, I realized there was just this massive line waiting to get in for the 10 a.m. general admission. So I knew it was going to be a busy show, and you could feel it coming. And by 10:30, I mean, it took me 10 minutes to go grab a coffee. I came back, those doors open. By 10:30, that room just felt like it just was just swamped with people. from one end to the other. And it stayed like that well into the afternoon on Saturday. I know I talked to the promoter, Scott DeMay, and he said Saturday was above 3,500 ticket sales. So that's a huge day. That's a huge day. And you could tell, some of these shows and, the big shows I've been to, the National, uh, uh, the Philly show, not maybe more. I haven't been to a Philly show in a while, but you know what? The Philly show used to be. Um, some of these bigger shows, Chantilly, where there's 2 or 3 people deep on a table, and I'm dealing with 2 people at a time. We're talking about this, and I'm answering this over here, and then I'm back to this part, going back and forth. So that kind of busy was just constant all day there. Um, Everybody I talked to, dealers, even the attendees, said it was just a great show. Um, I know personally for me, Uh, it was an Saturday. Saturday was definitely the bigger day, right? And as far as me going into the show, I wasn't going into the show with a ton of inventory. I was expecting big things, but I just didn't have a ton of inventory to bring in. Um, I had that big lot I had just picked up a week or two ago that I talked about on the pod. And I also had a couple orders just come back from PSA. So it was kind of, I had this ultra modern, brand new stuff coming back from PSA, like the Don Russ. And I also had the lot I picked up, which was kind of more, older stuff. I'm not going to say rare, scarce, right? Just not a lot of stuff people have, which I was excited to have. And that stuff was the highlight of my case, right? So I'm usually not going into shows, with Jim Brown and Willie Mays cards, things like that. So it was different for me going in with those cards, and those older cards were the highlight of my case. People really came in and were really excited about those cards, attracted to those cards. I was excited, that people coming up to the case, they weren't jumping all over the Jaden Daniels PSA 10 Don Russ, right? They were more interested in these older cards, some of the vintage cards I had there in the case. So it was definitely a different experience for me. Um, but I was certainly excited for that. In fact, they were the first cards for me from that lot that I sold on Saturday. And the last card I sold on Sunday was the Jimmy Brown. And I was happy to make a deal for that card with my guy Joe from Premier Sports, Rhode Island. Um, Great guy. Always excited to see him at the shows. And we really don't get a lot of deals done because we're in two opposite lanes, right? I'm ultra modern. He likes more of the older, the vintage stuff. So we were able to get a little deal done. So I was excited for that. Um, my singles boxes crushed it. I mean, absolutely crushed it this weekend. All that Prism and Don Russ and the Absolute boxes that I ripped and complained about and moaned about. I put the penny sleeve them and some of them top load them, right? Filling up these 5-row boxes. I know in the my dollar boxes alone, I sold over 500 cards just in my dollar boxes alone. And quite honestly, on Sunday, if it wasn't for those singles boxes, it would have been a much different day for me just because I did so well on Saturday and I didn't I, I didn't have much inventory. I said going in, but now I had even less because I had such a big day on Saturday. So I had a discount box. So by the afternoon on Saturday, I was pulling cards out of the discount box to backfill, an almost empty case on the football/basketball case. I was just backfilling stuff out of the discount box, 25, 35, $45 cards, just dropping them in there just to have some cards in that case. My WNBA, women's NCAA basketball case. It did well, but not as well as I expected it to do. People were really excited. And there's a number of shows I go to that I get excited to go to because I know there's people that are coming and they're going to come look for me because they know this is what I have in my case, right? So they're super excited. I'm super excited. I had a 5-row box of WNBA, mostly select and the Prism Monopoly stuff that I had at this show back in the fall, right? And I met a woman who came in and she went through and she picked out a bunch of cards. She showed up at this show and she was looking. She's like, where's the? And I said, I actually have it. I just didn't have space on my table to put it out. She came around the back and shopped, right? She shopped out of that box. So that type of thing. There's certain people I'm just expecting to see, and I get excited to see, and I'm meeting more people in that space. There's more people who are new to the hobby or just coming in, or they're not new to WNBA. They've been collecting, right, for 5, 10, 15 years, but now they're new coming to the shows because they know they're going to find this stuff in cases, right? Where before they weren't going to show up at a show because they were never going to see any of those cards at the show. But now they know there's a lot more of us out there selling these cards. So they're excited to come out and they're excited to share their cards. Somebody I met at another show who listens to the podcast, knew I was going to be at the show, came and brought a bunch of cards. They said, look, these are the cards I talked about at the last show. I wanted to share them with you. They weren't selling them, right? They just wanted to bring them in and share them with me. Now, it's creating a community, right? And that's probably the biggest thing here, just about meeting people, meeting like-minded people, and creating community. For those cards, right, my Paige Beckers, right, we're starting to build up to March Madness. I was hoping I had some more sales today, but sales were decent with her. I sold the number of her cards. I sold the number of Caitlin Clark. Since I started selling Caitlin Clark cards over a year ago, I don't think I've ever gone to a show and not sold a Caitlin Clark. Even if it was only one, I'm still selling Caitlin Clark cards. And I know UConn beat South Carolina at home today, right? That's certainly going to help. And now it starts this big build up, right, to the tournaments for here in Connecticut's Big East tournament, and then beyond that, it's rolling into March Madness. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. I've got some shows coming up, so it's going to be a lot of opportunity to move those cards. So that storm that rolled in Saturday afternoon / Saturday evening, the show went till 6:00 on Saturday, but I felt the show stayed busy till probably 4:30, 5:00. And that was the time that it was like, okay, I could sit back, grab a couple snacks out of the bag type of thing, and the people were still coming, but you could relax, right? Knowing we were tired, it's getting to the end of the day, and I originally had planned, I had thrown a bag in case the weather was bad, but I originally planned on driving home and coming back Sunday morning, providing the weather would let me. But shout out to my guy Bill at Bill and Billy Sports Cards. He had a room Saturday night, so I was able to crash with him in his room Saturday night so that I didn't have to drive home and drive back. And I'm glad I didn't, because I talked to a lot of people who drove that night and said the roads were really bad. So it was kind of cool Saturday night. The fellas, we hung out, we gambled a little, we all had dinner, and we were back at it again Sunday morning. And surprisingly enough, and I mentioned this before, there was a decent crowd that came through on Sunday morning, much more than I expected. Much more than I expected for Sunday. I would have felt, and I'm saying because Saturday was so busy and the weather was really bad Sunday morning. If it was a beautiful day out and Saturday wasn't as bad as it was, I would have felt Yep, Sunday was a normal day. It was decent foot traffic all day there. But because Saturday was so massive and the weather was bad, I was surprised that there was as many people there that showed up Sunday. So um, that was a pleasant surprise. I set up with my guy Rich. We set up next to each other, Zwittlerbug Cards at the show, and we got to talking today about what these shows are really for, right? And I know that's kind of a wide open question there. What are these shows really for? Uh, and when I say that, I mean the intentions of why people come to these shows, right? And why dealers set up at these shows. And as a dealer, I'm coming to the show to what? I should be selling, right? And as an attendee, people who show up, they should be buying, right? They should be coming uh, and buying at the shows. But as we talked about this, I feel things have gotten, a little mixed up. It feels like dealers are showing up to the show to buy from other dealers to put in their cases, right? Attendees are showing up to sell to the dealers and to sell to themselves, right? It used to be they would come and walk up to your table, you're buying them, and now, you see deals going on all over the place. So, I see right in the middle of the floor people dropping down to one knee, opening their cases and doing. So it seems like everything is changing at these shows. And one dealer I talked to this week and said, man, I couldn't make any deals with anybody here. I'm trying to go around and buy cards. Everybody's so high on their prices. They don't want to sell anything. They don't want to come down. He's like, I must be the only one in the room selling at 80 or 85%. And everybody wanted to be at 90% or higher. He said, that's it. I got to go back and change my prices. I got to be at 90 because I can't buy any more inventory to put in my case. This is probably not the place to be buying inventory to sell, right? As a dealer, I don't think there's that many opportunities to show up as there used to be, to show up at a show and be able to buy some cards and go drop them into your case and make somewhat of a profit on them. A lot of repackers in the room, right, that are paying very strong. Makes no sense, right? Makes no sense if you could almost guarantee someone's going to come and offer you a certain percent on your card. Why are you going to sell it to another dealer for less? Why wouldn't I just keep it and sell it to either somebody showing up at the show or even a repacker if the percentage they're offering is worth it? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. A lot of these, and I know people are always saying, I don't get this 85%, 90%, 88%, 92%. Well, that's fine. You can build on these percentages. But I can tell you from experience, when people come up and say, hey, if I take a whole bunch of these, could you be at about 88 to 90%? Yeah, it depends on the card, but yeah, I could be around there. And then the first comp they pull out is the lowest comp of all the comps. Right. So I'll give her, for instance, the card's $200, right? Sales at 199, 205, 210, and then there's one sale at 140, and that's the comp you want to use. Well, I can't even be at the 140, never mind a lower percentage of that, right? I'm up here at the high. You want to work on these higher comps. I can come down from a higher comp, but I'm not going to be at the low comp. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but you run into that a lot. Run into that an awful lot. And even just people showing up at the table, I have a Brady Bowman Chrome, and I can't tell you how many people walked up and said, hey, I'm interested in the Brady. Last comp on it is $495. And I said, yeah, that comp was like 7 weeks ago, right? The last two comps were 680 and 690. Right? I have it priced at 690. I can't be at 480. I can't be at 500 if they're selling at 680 or 6. Like, but everybody wanted to point out that one comp on that one card all weekend long. I know that comp by heart right now. I know the time, the date, the place because I've had this conversation and I came home with that card. I don't mind. It's okay if I don't sell that card. That's fine because you know what? There may be a higher sale that'll come today or tomorrow. I priced my cards on Thursday and Friday, and I was at the show and somebody said and I don't remember what card it was. They said, "Oh," they said the last comp on this was 62, and I'm like, I just comped that. I think it was $88. I said, that's why I have a $90. That's why I priced it at $90. I said, when was that? And he said, oh, that was today. That was like 2 hours ago. Okay. Well, I'm not on top of that one because I've already priced the card, but I'm not going to go with that low comp because it just happened today and I've got really nothing to, if we can make a deal, that's fine. But if not, I mean, I understand. And these comps, these sales are happening continuously. So it's tough to be on top of that all the time. But on these older cards that aren't selling as much, there's not as many comps. There's not as many, you know, these particular, like especially these new cards that are selling continuously all day long. People are always getting excited with the repackers showing up at the show. Um, and I say, just be careful. Some of them are really good. I know a few of them. I like them. I get somewhat excited to see them coming up because they know what I do. I know what they do. I know what we're working, and we see eye to eye. But there's a number of people that I don't know that show up. I talked to a guy. He said, "Yeah, weather's terrible. I flew from wherever he came, Maryland or something, came up here for one day, Saturday, to just to come to this show and buy." And offering percentages in the low 90 percentages, but every number he threw out was the low 80s, and I said, man, I'm so sorry, I just can't work with you. I just can't sell that low. I would rather keep the card. And for me, most of my inventory, I'm grading my inventory. So and because that's what makes sense for me, right? uh I'm going to get the biggest margin being the first one to sell this card when I grade it. So I probably have more room than most people do because I'm the one grading the card, but I still need to stick to certain numbers because grading is not free either, right? And there's a lot of swing and misses with grading. That discount box is not full, is full for a reason. It's full of cards that didn't gem. Uh, I talk to a lot of dealers. I know a lot of dealers. And I know the ones who do extremely well, they're not showing up at shows to buy at the same show. And if they do buy at the show, nothing is going back into their case. They're doing a lot what I do, that it's going to either their PC or it's going to be held, for a future show or, just being held for now. And that's the key to their success, right? Not having to show up at shows and buy from other dealers, but being able to buy elsewhere. They're already coming to the show like I do. Like I want to come to a show prepared with all my inventory. Like everything I'm going to sell, I want to show up. If I buy something when I'm there that I may want to resell, that's fine. But in my mind, when I'm showing up at a show, I'm showing up where I'm not planning on shopping other dealers at the show to put stuff in my case. I was so excited for this show going into it because I knew I was prepared. I knew I was prepared with my inventory, even though I didn't have a huge amount of inventory. I thought my inventory was special and it was going to sell, and I was right, and it did. Um, and that's just being prepared, right? That's just being showing up at a show and just being prepared. And when I saw the storm coming, I'm like, no, don't do this to me. I'm too prepared for this. Um, and as far as picking stuff up, I picked stuff up this weekend, right? But most of it was for my PC or it was just a hold. Only two bigger cards that I purchased that I got a great deal on, they went back in my case with the price tag. Everything else came home with me. And I think there were a lot of no's this weekend on both sides of the table this weekend, both sides of the table. Me saying no to low offers on cards and attendees saying no to me on offers I'm making on their cards. I always know, let's face it, I always know the people at the front door. I'm not a guy at the front door, and the people at the front door are doing all the buying. They're in prime real estate to buy the best cards, hitting these people as soon as they come through the door. So I know by the time cases get to me, right, they pretty much been picked through. So that's why I'm usually just buying for a PC or longer term holds. Um, in doing that, maybe somebody who said, you know what, I don't want to sell this any cheaper. And I may pay a little stronger on a PC card or something I'm holding that I know that even if I pay strong on it now, I have a feeling the value is going to go up down the road on that card. And then there's a couple of those cards I picked up today. I paid straight comps on those cards this weekend. But again, they're cards I'm going to hold, and I kind of have a reason for that as well. I get a lot of people point me out, and I appreciate that. And just shout out to everybody who, saw people that are either looking for WNBA or NCAA women's basketball or trying to sell it. People were sending them my way. A lot of people show up and say, oh, so-and-so said, come see you. Guy over there said, you're the guy for this, right? Or I'm looking for this. Can you help me? So I'm becoming, a lot of people are knowing me as that guy at these shows. What do you guys think? Especially if you're a dealer, do you have a pipeline to find cards? Do you go out? And I know my guy, Tom Hudson, I know I'm going to hear from you because I know you do this well, but a lot of people, do you have a pipeline to get cards? Are you buying your cards? You have somewhere to go to get your cards and then bring them into the show? Or are you relying on these shows? Are you going to these shows to buy at these shows? I talked to somebody who said they do a lot on eBay. I never buy anything on eBay I want to resell because that comp is there. Even if I snipe it and I get a great deal on it and I go to a show, right? People say, oh, the last one was, or I see the super low, I hate having to explain that. So again, if I'm buying on eBay, that's just stuff that I'm keeping. My pipeline up to now, a lot of it has been grading, and I've been doing very well with that. I mentioned that. But after getting this last lot and how well I did with the lot that I picked up, I'm still going to have, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to have that newest, shiniest, football, freshly graded, first to market in a case. But I'm making a commitment to go out and start finding other lots that I recently picked up because I really enjoyed meeting a whole new, set of people who are in that lane. And I'd like to stay in that lane, or jump into that lane a little bit more. Especially when it came time to sell those cards because there weren't all those cards flooding in the room, right? People paying strong, not a whole lot of negotiation, more about the centering and how the card looked. That's why I want to do more of those deals and less of the selling the same cards that everybody else has in the room. And I know I've talked about this many times on here. But every time I get a taste of doing something else, I'm like, oh, that was just such a pleasant experience. I don't know if I can drag myself away from that whole grading and first to market and the shiny stuff, but I can do both. All right, I think I could do both. I can get that first to market stuff, and I could buy this rare and scarce stuff and put it in my case too. My pickups I talked about from this weekend. One guy that I've got a lot of cards on, and I don't mind picking up because I don't know, he may end up going to another team next year and be their starting quarterback. I hope, or I mean, I just think he's got enough talent to have a future in the league. But Joe Milton, so I picked up this instant access auto, Joe Milton III. If you're on YouTube, I'm holding them up. Another guy, I've been buying up a bunch of his cards. So here's 2 gold certified gold, 2 of 15 and 12 of 15. Jared Wiley, tight end, drafted last year, Kansas City Chiefs. There's another Joe Milton card. I got this from my guy Tyler. He ripped the box and he knew that I'd been picking up Joe Milton, so he gave it to me. Appreciate that. It's the pink prism. I picked up this Ricky Pearsall, another the certified. This was 19 of 25, gold certified. I picked up the Cameron Brink, the orange to 99. These are the 2 cards that I picked up that I said I picked up, and I dropped them back in my case. It's the 2003 Fleer Mystique LeBron James, numbered to 999. And the 2000 Fleer Tradition LeBron James. Oh, this one is a PSA 10, if you're not watching. And the first one was the PSA 8. The Mystique was a PSA 8. I had a deal going into the show with New England pieces, right, for some Juju Watkins. So I picked up the New Waves PSA 10 and Future Stars PSA 10. And I know I said I wasn't going to keep buying the lower end Jujus, but when they come up, I just can't say no. And my last 2 pickups were, I just talked about earlier that I paid strong on these cards. They are both from the Don Russ, the Costco exclusive boxes, the Optic Preview Red Pandora. So the Bo Nix PSA 10 and the JJ McCarthy PSA 10. So I have all of them except for Caleb Williams in the PSA 10. And what I've noticed on these cards is that the pop counts are so low on these that I think maybe that, and it's just my thought, is that the boxes from Costco were limited and there weren't as many of those, because I know they did sell out pretty quick. And they came out before Don Russ themselves. So I think the grading process of everybody who was rushing or looked at these cards and felt, yeah, these could gem, and sent them out, I think they did. I just don't think there was a lot of these cards made because the pop count's so low. You know what? Time will tell. Time will tell on it. But if the pop counts stay low, then these cards, the value of these cards, could be considered scarce. I don't know. I'll use the word scarce. We'll have to see. I mean, I'll have to see over the next few months where the pop counts go, but I think they're going to be low. And with the pop counts low, I think the values may be high on those. I'm hoping. I'm going to keep one of all. I'm going to keep the set of all the you know the rookie quarterbacks that came out of that set, and we'll see what happens with that. Um, Only time is really going to tell on that. But these are the things that I like to pick up. These are the things that I look at and I try to make a move on. And you know what? Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. We'll see. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think on especially if you're a dealer, where you're getting your inventory, how you acquire it, what's important. Do you have somewhere to get it? Are you always looking? Are is it a struggle? I find it to me to be a struggle. I don't put a lot of effort into it, so I know myself I have to put more effort into it to find more deals out there. Yeah, for the hobby chop, get your questions in for the hobby chop. Join the Facebook group if you're on Facebook, Hobby Chop Podcast. If you just want to ask a question, you're not on Facebook, certainly you can send me a message on Instagram at sportscard_lessons. Having a lot of fun with the guys doing that, and we're going to start adding a few more elements to that. So stay tuned on that. It's starting to get exciting. I'm really getting I'm getting excited with that segment. So I'll be back Thursday with the guys. But for now, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.